RDTDaily.com presents a Tarabuster with comedian Tara Devlin.
Oh man, that beginning didn't go over very smooth. It is what it is. We do it anyway. Hey, I'm Tara Devlin, and this is Tarabuster at RDT Daily. Every week we meet here from 7 p.m. Eastern to 8 p.m. Eastern at the RDT Daily Facebook and YouTube channels. And we are replayed Sundays starting at 6 p.m. Eastern on Progressive Voices or anytime on the Progressive Voices app and at GDPR Revolution 99, which is an amazing, great progressive radio station that you should check out immediately, if not sooner. Right now. Bookmark it. I have something in my face. Okay, so my name is Tara Devlin. I said that already. I'm going to put this up. I hope everything is running smoothly. I'm just going to do a little check, Rooney. Yeah, okay, good. We're on the air. Okay. That's good. Progress. We're having some progress, and I like that. So, but what a week. I trying to get my thoughts together. And I'm a little stressed out because I'm thinking about in a couple of weeks, I don't know when yet. I haven't decided because I'm still working out the logistics, but the show's going to go to 2 hours and it'll probably start at 6 p.m. and end at 8. And the first hour will probably be me talking. The second hour we'll probably have guests and call in. I have to get a phone number. That's part of the things I have to do. It's just, I am only one person, people. Only one person. I can only do so much in a day. And honestly, I wish I didn't have to sleep because how can you sleep? And when you fall asleep, you wake up and you have to catch up with all the disasters that happened while you were unconscious. So it's a lot of work keeping up with this living in these interesting times, right? So, and I was thinking about what was I going to talk about the entire week? Another shit show, and of course, let me just say, this is for mature audiences. I will curse at times. I try not to, but I'll try to keep it to a family-friendly expletives, not we're not working blue at the late show. You know what I'm saying? But what I'm thinking, what am I going to talk about? Because it never stops. When you prepare something, another thing comes immediately along, and the show's only an hour, so it goes by pretty fast, for me at least. And it's what I was thinking was that we're in big trouble. That's what I wanted to say. It's not that. I started to think, like, how are we going to recover from the past year, much less 4 years? How are we ever going to get this back? Now, we know that the history, they say history repeats. I don't know what's the stupid saying. History doesn't repeat itself; it rhymes or something like that. I don't know. Whatever. It makes sense. It does rhyme. It does repeat, and it's if we really want to know what it's sounding like now, what it's rhyming like. It rhymes like the systems of government that Western civilization has been under for thousands of years. They're starting to label the 20th century the democratic century, meaning that right now we're in another evolution of human civilization where we're going backwards. And I was reminded of a book I had to read when I was in college, a history book. I wish I had it still because it was a great book, but it was all different essays that were written over periods of time. And one of the essays, and it was just a compilation that you were supposed to read as a compilation, because some of the essays were written during the Enlightenment, where there was a lot of hope that human beings, once we learn something, once we evolve to a higher understanding, that we would continue down that path. And then we had to contrast these hopeful writings that were written hundreds of years before the 20th century. We contrast those writings with writings from the Holocaust, writings of the Nazis, and we see all the time that how it's just because you make progress, and that that doesn't mean, in fact, it doesn't mean, not only does it not mean that you will continue to make progress, but it is a guarantee that there will be a backlash. And the Democratic, to hear pundits call, or scholars call this the last 100 years, the 20th century, the Democratic century, that and with the knowledge that it's going away, that it is evolving, that the human experience is evolving away from democracy. That's pretty concerning. Not only because that it's not happening outside, it's happening here. It's happening in the United States. That's why the U.S. was a place where people wanted to come to, because there used to be the American dream, where every person could, no matter what, have a decent middle class life. Yes, and our original sin from the founding of our country is racism, and it still is. And our inability to look at it and confront it. And even as I'm saying this, because I'm saying to myself, as I'm saying these words, I'm hearing in my head, I sound kind of, it's not hypocritical. It's sort of like, yeah, in a way that adds to the mythology. You always have to qualify that, what's going on, what the true underlying story is. It's not that we were so great. We never were so great. We were greater. We were getting there. We're trying to get there. We're at our best when we're confronting our prejudices and evolving. And in fact, frankly, obviously, Trump, the Republicans, conservatism, they are actively cultivating the worst among us, the worst aspects of the human condition, to maintain their selfish power. And that is the story of civilization. How do you get how does a small group of individuals, of powerful elite, convince dumbasses, a large pool of easily exploitable working class people, to cheer their own demise, to go along with it, not to rise up, not to expect anything, but to await their rewards in heaven? How do you convince dumbasses to cheer their own demise? You do it through the oldest trick in the book, just like that's the oldest game being played against the majority. They use the oldest tricks in the book, and that's divide and conquer, and especially along racial lines. And we see it all over the place. I can't even believe what the hell my eyes are seeing in this country right now. It's a joke. It would be comical if it wasn't so alarming. Like, I want, as far as what happened last week, we had the correspondence dinner, Michelle Wolf telling the truth about Donald Trump, telling the truth about Sarah Huckabee Sanders, calling her a liar. She's a liar. That's what she does. She lies professionally for a con man. That is her role. Donald Trump is a con man, and Huckabee Sanders is a liar, and they lie through the core. The essence of who they are is based in lies, because these are supposed to be Christians. They're supposed to be great lovers of Jesus. Well, I don't know what kind of Jesus they're loving, but that's one sick Jesus they got on their hands. Because that Jesus, he really bears no resemblance to the Jesus that I've read about in the Bible. And I have read the Bible, because I was raised Catholic, and I was raised by a nun, for Christ's sake. I guess literally, for Christ's sake, but, That's right, my mother was a nun. My father was a garbage man, my mother was a nun. Of course, what am I? I'm a lesbian comedian with a political left-leaning talk show. Not even left-leaning. Socialist, democratic socialist talk show. Of course. What else would a ex-nun and a garbage man create? But my father was a garbage man, yeah. He loved it. He was a proud garbage man. And he was a teamster. But that's a whole story. We talked about him last week, how he was, voting against his own demise. It kind of relates to what we're talking about now, because they tickled his racist funny bone. He was convinced that all America's problems were because somebody was getting over on something, and we know who that somebody is. It's some brown person, somebody who's a little bit darker. And to me, it's really ridiculous. When you think about it, when you think about racism in general, how stupid it is the stupidest. It's like animals, like a cat hating another cat, like a black cat hating a white cat, or vice versa, or a white cat hating a black cat. What is the difference? It's a distinction without a difference. And because there's only one race. There's the human race. There may be, I have different kind of hair, different eyes, different shape of face, whatever. Everybody's different in that way, but we're all the same, for Christ's sakes. It's so baffling to me. And that's why the stupid fall for it. They're dumb. You gotta be dumb to be a racist. It's the stupidest trick that anybody has ever pulled on you. And I guess stupidity is rampant in this country, and that's why the founding fathers and mothers wanted this country to have some education, not to be a bunch of dumbasses. You have to really cultivate democracy. You got to work at it. It doesn't just happen. In fact, it goes away very quickly and fast, as we see. Quickly and fast. Those are the same words. Why am I repeating myself? Goes quickly and it goes fast. At least I'm not I almost said President Trump. I mean, so-called President Trump. Did you see what he wrote on Twitter? Of course, right? On Twitter, we have a moron in the White House. He, instead of writing, I don't have it in front of me. It just came to my mind. Instead of R-O-L-E, he wrote roll. He had no roll. R-O-L-L. Oh, they didn't serve bread at the wedding? Roll. This is who the so-called president is, who can't spell roll. Now there's a difference between a typo and a dumbass, ignorant mistake. That's somebody who is illiterate and ill-read, who is intellectually incurious. You don't know the difference between roll and roll, L-O-L-E and R. Wait, what am I saying? I'm not even L-O-L-E. R-O-L-L and R-O-L-E. And you're the so-called president of the United States. Now that's not a mistake. That means you're an illiterate moron. I made a meme on the RDT Daily Facebook page that was misspelled. It was a misspelling. And somebody called it out. I spelled manipulated wrong. And it was manip-aided. Obviously I had left out a few letters, it was a mistake because I was tired. As I always say, I'm very tired. And it's not like I don't know how to spell manipulated. There's a difference between a typo and being a dumbass. And it's not just that you can't spell. It is a reflection on the fact that you are illiterate. You're a functional illiterate. And you're in charge of what? The world? Whether this world blows the hell up or not? We're going to give an illiterate, somebody who can't spell roll, R-O-L-E. We're going to give that person complete control over whether we live or die. And in the meantime, all his flying monkeys, all his minions are fanning out all over the globe like the freaking aliens from Alien. Fanning out hither and yon, grabbing everything they can. And polluting, raping the environment, raping the American worker, getting away with whatever they can smash and grab. Because that's all they got. They got nothing. Because there's nothing going on in them. They are the worst among us. The absolute worst. Like Ivanka. I can't stand this person. I was going to say something bad. I hate her. Okay? I should be a better person, yes. I'm trying. I work at it. I should be better. I don't want hate, right? But there's room for everything. There's righteous anger. And it really pisses me off that we have this another trust fund crook who was born on third base, thinking she hit a triple, goes on Twitter constantly lecturing us all about what? What did she say? Small business, something about how women at work are making whatever money. Shut the F up, Ivanka. What the hell do you know? This is somebody who has had everything handed to her, and the best that she could come up with is, I'm going to make a sweatshop in China. That's her grand idea. What have these people ever done? Like Donald Trump, he's at a small business forum, roundtable, stroking his own ego, talking about the Electoral College again. Somebody better shut him up already. Can somebody please wheel him into a nursing home and give him a rest with this Electoral College? But so that's what is he doing at a business roundtable? This is the other thing I thought when I saw this. Donald Trump is talking to business leaders at a business roundtable. Donald Trump has never had a successful business in his entire life. The only thing he's good at is being a crook. Now, what are we going to do, America, when it's finally all out in front of us? The witch hunt. There's a hell of a lot of witches out there in this witch hunt. You want to go? You want to get the witch hunt off your case, Trump? Prove you're not a witch. He's a witch. There's a lot of witches in this witch hunt. I don't understand. There's 19 indictments already, guilty pleas. A lot of witches pleading guilty in this witch hunt. But so Donald Trump is out there at a business roundtable. What businesses? He was handed a fortune and he blew it. And he created casinos. It's just because that's like a legal business that exploits addiction. That's all it does. It's like if drugs were legal, he'd open a crack spot. Get your crack here. Get your crack cocaine. Trump's cocaine. Trump ice. Trump gold. Trump up all night. That's what he would do because it's all about figuring out ways to separate dupes from their money. And now this con man is figuring out ways to separate dupes from our democracy. And I include us all in that, in the dupes category at this point, because how much of a dupe do we have to be to continue to allow it to go on? To allow this completely unfit moron who can't spell the word roll to control the economy, whether we have a nuclear holocaust, the environment, the peace on earth, and goodwill to all human beings. And he would say men, because make America great, right? What is wrong with us? Why do we allow this to continue? So every time that Donald Trump walks in a room and they have to play Hail to the Chief, that says we're complicit too. What they should play is the theme to Law and Order. It should be that chunk chunk sound every time he walks in until somebody slaps the cuffs on him and takes them all away. They all need to go away. Go away, Trump and the Trump crime family. All of them are crooked. When you get into, like, Scott Pruitt, he gets his job, which is the only reason he exists is to destroy the planet, and for the sake of greed, that to funnel more money into the pockets of himself and his friends until I guess we're gonna die. They'll be dead. But they'll have a big mess for everybody to clean up, for all the young people that have to live with it. How much longer will it go on? Let this party keep going. But they don't care. What do they care? They're gonna die. No, what do they got? What is Donald Trump, 72? Well, his mother did live to 99 years old, so that's something to curl your toes in the middle of the night. So let's see. So what has he done with his ill-gotten gains? So we have Trump steaks. You know, I mean, we've done this before. But the fact is, he's never had a business that's been successful. Except now, his business, the only successful business he's had is being the most epic con man on the face of the earth. I guess that's good for him. But for the rest of us, because we're sincere, because we like democracy, we're trying to play along with this, trying to pretend that it's business as usual. A denial is a real thing. It's also a killer. You say when people are in the grips of addiction, as I know because I'm a recovering addict, when you're in the grips of addiction, denial is involved. Like when I was really in denial, when I was young and I was an alcoholic and I would drink, and I had a friend of mine who started going to meetings, and she said to me, well, I can't hang out with you anymore because I'm going to AA. And I was like, what are you talking about? I drink like 10 times more than you. You see, I was in denial that I was an alcoholic. I was like, what? I'm not an alcoholic. How are you an alcoholic? I'm like, worse. I drink so much more than you, and I'm not even an alcoholic. So, but that's the level of denial. So we have to be in denial to allow this to continue. We have to be in denial of the fact that Donald Trump is a symptom of the disease of the destruction of democracy. That democracy was on life support before he got here. And he would not be where he is if it not for the fact that the system was completely broken to begin with when he got here. And all the fissures of disunity that he was able to exploit. That these things that we should have confronted years ago, we have only swept under the rug. It's like when you have When you renovate a home, what do? You don't just put wallpaper over disgusting, stinking walls, moldy walls. You clean it, you gut it, you paint it, you prime it, you build it so it's strong. And we've never done that. What did we do after the Civil War? We had a moment in time when Reconstruction was going to happen, that was going to be forced through the barrel of a gun, and that's the way it was going to be, because the stinking Southerners couldn't let go of their human property and their diseased ideas of themselves, and they were determined to take everybody with them. So, but then what happened? It was all this compromise. There's so many compromise. You can't compromise with evil. You can't compromise with lies. The truth is the truth, no matter how you slice it. And the truth is that human beings all have value. We all have desire to be seen, to be connected, to be appreciated, to be part of our civilization. And there is no one segment of society or humans that are worse than others, that are lazier than others, that are dumber than others. There's a variation in everything. There's variables. We're all the same. Some people have different skills. Some people have different abilities. We balance each other out. But for these filthy racists to say that this section of society, like Mexicans, they're bringing drugs, they're rapists, they're criminals. Oh, I assume some are good people. I guess those are the differences that that prove the rule. I don't know. What's the saying? Who knows? I'm mangling it. But so that's what I'm saying. So for these freaks to have control, to have power, and they're okay with it. That's the other thing that pisses me off. Or it doesn't piss me off as much as concern me. That the right-wingers, that they're fine with it. For instance, Don Blankenship, right? So he released an ad about his... well, first of all, what is he doing in a campaign? It doesn't matter, right? Don Blankenship was the CEO of Massey Energy, a mine that killed, now, how many people? Does anybody out there know? I should have had this research in front of me. His greed and cutting corners, and this is why we have regulation, so people don't have to die for some bastard's greed. Somebody who cuts corners on somebody else's life, on the back of somebody's existence. What do we have but our existence? That is our most valued possession, all of us. That's why people will pay anything, do anything to say one more day with their loved ones, one more day breathing the air. Hopefully it's clean. Not anymore. Not that Republicans would, when they have something to say about it. One more day, right? You do so, but Republicans like Don Blankenship, they don't care. They'll send you into a mine that is on the brink of exploding because you got to get that coal out from them. They need that money, sucker. And safety, your family, those days that you're gonna spend, that you're working your ass off, so your children will have food, and in between you'll have those moments that make life worth living, where you hug your kids, you hug your family, you hug your spouse, you spend time with your friends. You laugh, you sing, you dance, the things that we do when we're alive. But Don Blankenship, that doesn't matter to him. People like him, your life, your happiness, you're nothing to him. Get in that mine. If you die, oh well. You know what? you'll have your reward in heaven. But that's how Don Blankenship and these fake Christians, that's what they think. So go and die for, who cares? Whatever, you're expendable. You're a nothing. You're a nobody. If you meant anything, if you were worth anything, you would have been born with a trust fund. You would have been born like Ivanka. And you could be making your own sweatshop in some low wage slave nation. I mean, how are you so stupid, Republicans? Oh my God. I was just thinking, because I saw on Twitter how Trump, now Republicans they're pushing this thing, paycheck president, because Trump is such a great deal maker. What the hell has he done? He's done nothing. This is, if anything, it's Obama's economy. How much money do people need? Do these CEOs need? They didn't need any more. They didn't need to be a wider income disparity. Anyway, before I go off on that tangent, I was talking about Don Blankenship because I just wanted to play his little ad that he released, and I was in shock. Let me just play this because he was talking about China people. Hold on.
I'm Don Blankenship, candidate for U.S. Senate, and I approve this message. Swamp Captain Mitch McConnell has created millions of jobs for China people. While doing so, Mitch has gotten rich. In fact, his China family has given him tens of millions of dollars. Mitch's swamp people are now running false negative ads against me. They are also childishly calling me despicable and mentally ill. The war to drain the swamp and create jobs for West Virginia people has begun. I will beat Joe Manchin and ditch Cocaine Mitch for the sake of the kids.
Okay, now, first of all, who are those kids? Are they his kids? Where did he get those two blonde, Aryan, they look like something from The Shining. Of course they're blonde. Of course they're just as dead in the eyes as he is. That's the other thing. Did you see, is there a human in there anywhere? I guess that's what happens when you have no soul. When you're greedy and you'll send people to die, and you'll send workers to an early grave for your own prurient greed. I guess you have to be dead in the eyes because that's what he looks like. There's nothing there. So the thing is, he doesn't understand what the hubbub is about. Why is everybody all upset at China people, calling them people China people? I guess we're lucky that he used the phrase people, that he even said that they're people. But he said, well, he's a West Virginia people, and hey, he's not backing down. He said it wasn't racist because races, this is his statement, races are Negro, white Caucasian, which is sort of like, a double, it's like, I repeat myself, and Hispanic, Asian, and there's no mention of race. I never used a race word. So, because this idiot, he doesn't seem to get it, that it's racist because why are you so concerned about China people? This is who Republicans are. This one is a Mexican. This one is a China people. This one is, everybody has to be distinctly different and separated. And I guess for all their love of USA, and their teary-eyed renditions of America the Beautiful that they sing, they forgot to read the motto of America, our original motto. No, it's not Make America Great Again. It's E Pluribus Unum, out of many, one. And that is the only way we will move forward. Out of many, one. And there is no except China people, Mexicans, and Muslims. It's out of many, one. But these Republicans cannot fathom because they lack the fundamental maturity and intellectual maturity to function. in a democracy. That's it. It's been my hypothesis for years. That's why they can't be trusted with power. And you see what they do with it. What do they do with it when they have power? They're not out there making this thing run better. They're not extending the franchise of freedom and democracy. They're separating people. They're dividing us all. And Donald Trump was at the NRA, and he made a couple of speeches at this past couple. It's all blurring in my mind. It doesn't matter. I don't have the clip, but he was talking about how the people who wrote the immigration laws they don't like this country. They don't have a love of this country. Really? And this is who is telling us who loves the country or not. Now, as far as I'm concerned, if you're a racist, you hate this country. If you're an ignorant moron who can't spell the word roll, you hate this country because you had the best that money can buy, and you're still a dumbass, and you still can't spell. Because it's not about just spelling, though. It's about an intellectual curiosity. It's evidence that you've never read a book. Not even his own. He never even read Art of the Deal. There is no way. You know that to be true. It's not his book. Somebody else wrote it for him. He's a scam artist. He's a grifter. And we know this here in New York. I live in New York my entire life. We hate Donald Trump. Donald Trump is a buffoon. We understood that. We understand that. He is not a developer. He likes to call himself that because he plays a developer on television. And he's hence the con man. It's all about the show. We understand that there's a series, of developers here in New York. There are people there's that clique of people. I'm not in it. They build things. They build buildings. The super uber rich who live here in New York. Donald Trump is never in that circle. He was never one of those people, and we know that. He is a con man. He's a liar. In fact, here's something to think about. And I heard this on Tom Hartman's show the other day, and I didn't think about this until he mentioned it, that the payoff to Stormy Daniels, the $100-something thousand that they had to pay off over in installments. Now, if you're a billionaire, why are you paying somebody in installments, $100,000 at a time? That's because he didn't have the money. And Donald Trump is famous for being bad credit. He doesn't pay people. He doesn't pay people back. That's why he couldn't get a legitimate bank loan. And he's a liar and a grifter. So the fact is, that whole thing with Forbes magazine, when he called up the editors of Forbes magazine to get into the top 100 billionaires, and he didn't even have he exaggerated his wealth at 200 million. The people of Forbes put him down as 100 million. He must have really felt like, wow, look what I got away with. You know what it is, but before I get on to that, but let me just finish this thought. So he had, the editors of Forbes magazine put him down for 100 million. And then, in fact, what they're speculating now is that he wasn't even anywhere near that number as well, that he was more like 5 million. And probably not even in liquid assets. He probably had, from all of his so-called business transaction, whatever buildings he was grifting from or whatever, all that together, that's what he had. It was not in anywhere near what he purports to be. He's a liar. And when you think about him on the campaign trail telling his morons, I'm really rich. I'm really, really rich. What kind of embarrassing human being is that? I feel kind of embarrassed for him that he has to. It's sort of really desperate. He certainly is trying really hard for us to look at him in awe, but to know somewhere in there that he knows just how inadequate he truly is. Because he's so defensive, he has to try so hard. So you're not a witch? Prove it. You're a billionaire? Prove it. Show us your taxes. It's the same thing with these dumbasses who follow him. It's their version of losing white privilege. Now, if they actually get exposed, let's say we finally do have that much needed Truth and Reconciliation Commission about race in this country, and we confront our abhorrent history, and we finally get to move on as equals, and we as brothers and sisters. Imagine that, and move forward and do amazing things together. But that we take care of each other, that we leave no one behind. Finally, no one in this country gets left behind, that we look at it as a patriotic duty, that we're all educated, that we're all employed, that everybody earns a living wage. Now that's patriotism, that we don't leave anybody behind in ignorance, in hunger, in poverty. You know, that's my kind of patriotism. I don't know. But imagine, but it's the same thing. If that goes away, if we end up getting rid of, or at least confronting, white privilege, then these idiots like Donald Trump and like the minions who follow Donald Trump it'll be exposed just how inadequate they truly are. And it is fitting that they have an incredibly inadequate bloviator who has gotten by on nothing but his privilege as their standard bearer. He's their perfect standard bearer. That's the only real legitimate thing they've done. That's the only honest thing they've done, if you really want to look at it. The only honest thing the Republican Party has said and done since Eisenhower is having Donald Trump as a standard bearer, because he is the perfect standard bearer for a party built on fallacy, on trickle-down lies, on the notion that that if you funnel more wealth and power to the wealthy and powerful, that it'll all just become amazing utopia of democracy and freedom. That if you build walls and you hype up one religion over another, that if you separate people and you put women down and you put gays back in the closet and everybody in their place, and it's going to be amazing, that this country will be great again. It's all of that are the lies. So isn't it fitting that they have a prolific liar and con man as their standard bearer? There is I guess, somewhere along the line that's the only truth they've told. But they don't tell that to themselves. That's the other thing. They really, that's an accidental. It's sort of like a broken clock is right twice a day. It's kind of an accident that the Republican Party is telling the truth in any form at this point. So the other thing I wanted to say is that not only is Don Blankenship, he's talking about China people and Negroes and dead eyes aside. Here's another one with dead eyes. This other ad I came across, and I can't even believe it either. Where is it? Oh my God, it's Kemp. Hold on, it's another political ad. I'm just gonna play it.
I'm Brian Kemp. This is Jake, a young man interested in one of my daughters.
Yes, sir.
Jake asked why I was running for governor. I said 1.
Cap government spending.
2.
Take a chainsaw to regulations.
3.
Make Georgia #1 for small business.
And 2 things if you're going to date one of my daughters.
Respect.
And?
A healthy appreciation for the Second Amendment, sir.
We're going to get along just fine.
Brian Kemp for governor.
I'm sorry I cut that off. too quickly, whatever, for governor. I was like, is that a joke? When I saw that this isn't a parody. It's sometimes when you, in the days of Trump, in the Trump era, when you come across headlines at The Onion, the satire magazine, The Onion, I have to double check that it's The Onion. That you can't even believe that this is actually going on. So this Brian Kemp, he not only did he point a gun directly at this young man, it's just full of bullshit. And this mythos for a time that, you know, I guess they have some kind of nostalgia for. And why would they have nostalgia? And it's this Leave It to Beaver worldview that never existed, even in Leave It to Beaver time. So when, you know, Daddy went to work and Beaver's mom stayed home, and there was only white people on the street, and they all lived in amazing homes. Well, Beaver's dad lived in a world where there was 35% unionization, where it was there was a 90% top marginal tax rate on the rich, where, you know, we had trade and tariffs that protected American manufacturing, not just this take a hatchet to regulations. And that, I mean, when I heard take a hatchet to regulations, so let's just back up the dump truck on Brian Kemp's front lawn and just dump all the toxic waste into his water supply. But no, it's not going to be that. It'll be, of course, the people, like people in Flint, that'll be drinking filthy water. Take a hatchet to regulations. How stupid do you have to be? Now, they talk about this, they want to all go back to this time that never existed, but during that time, the reason that we actually have a EPA, that we have regulations, is because people die at work. Like, you know, we have labor laws because, remember, something called the Triangle Shirtwaist Factory Fire, where women were jumping to their deaths because they were locked inside and there were fire. We've had horrific experiences where we learned, supposedly, our lesson. And not only on the labor front, we had our rivers in the United States were literally bursting into flames. So I know that these Republicans, they supposedly love America, well, you know, America the Beautiful, while they're blowing the mountains off of the tops of, to get at the coal and whatnot and all. And so when they talk about take an axe to regulation, I don't understand, because don't they want to drink, water that's not going to give them explosive diarrhea? Don't they want to breathe air? How about their children? How about when their kids go to work, do they want to work in a safe environment? Do they want to have some protections where a boss can, if you get sick, where they have to honor your job, let's say, and not fire you or whatever, or lock you in or into your sweatshop? I mean, this is the world they're going back to. And make no mistake, it is. Don't think that we have labor protections because billionaires were feeling generous one day, that we don't have children, that we're not competing with children for jobs because billionaires were feeling like, oh, well, you know what, these kids need an education. That's not the case. In fact, not even too long ago, we had people like Newt Gingrich where they were proposing rolling back child labor law regulations, believe it or not. And it sounds so hard to believe, right? But this is real. It's going on now. They are actively dragging us back to the dustbin of history. They want us to get back into the dustbin of history. We've been there. done that, got the t-shirt, got the book, and we learned our lesson. So why are they doing it? Why? It's unfathomable, because here's the answer. They have seized power. They don't deserve it. They didn't win. They did not win the election. They did not they did not win a legitimate election in years. How we live in a country where 1 million more votes were cast for Democrats in the House, but the Republicans still control the House. How is that? We live in a country where this 3 million more votes for Hillary, and we still have this con man president. So we do want to evolve. So I don't know. I mean, I guess this is like how I started the show. It's kind of like, how are we going to do it? How? First of all, we have to stop the denial and never, ever allow them to convince us that this is normal. And when we say resist, this is what it means. It means to continuously stand up to this con man, never believe his lies, because the lies never stop. Is this normal? It's not normal. And these people like John Blankenship, they're following suit. They're following in Donald Trump's footsteps. This is some kind of winning strategy for them to divide people. China people? That's the kind of world they want to go back to, where everybody is just divided along racial lines, and we're all in our individual camps, and white people, straight white males at the top. Make no mistake about that. Now, if it was China people at the top, they'd be screaming about, I guess our hypocrisy or something. These right wingers are nothing if not victims, perpetual victims, and yeah, that works for them too. They're always victimized by the underdog somehow, right? It's always the people that don't have power. It's always somebody that's taking something from them, wants something from them. If only they would get the help they desperately need. It's part of the reason that they're rolling back Obamacare. They don't want universal health care, because if these morons would go to the shrink once in a while and get some help instead of inflicting their manias on us, maybe we'd have some hope in this world. But anyway, what was I going to say? I'm looking at the clock. I have like 8 minutes, so it's hard to really know what to get into at 8 minutes left. But I guess I'll just continue with what David Cay Johnston said. David Cay Johnston, who knows Trump. And I don't know Trump personally, but I know him from living in New York my entire life, that he's a racist. He's a con man. He's one of these showmen. I don't even want to. I mean, the show is boring, frankly. It's stupid and boring, and it's for dumbasses. And but he was putting on a show. There's a lot of dumbasses. That's probably what's very sad for me in general, is knowing what it's beyond what Donald Trump is doing to the country. It's exposing just how many stupid racists live here. And I have to say, that's probably been the most heartbreaking of this entire time, this last year. And that's probably why I was so depressed when Trump won, quote unquote won. He didn't win legitimately. Of course, he never did. He never won a goddamn thing legitimately. Never got a business legitimately. He hasn't done a goddamn thing in his life that is legitimate. Why do you need a fixer if you're a legitimate businessman, right? You need a fixer? What are they fixing? Paying off porn stars? How many porn stars do you have to? I mean, I feel bad for Stormy Daniels, I have to tell you. This poor woman, that she felt that she had to have sex with Donald Trump. And you know that sex with Donald Trump is is probably pretty bad. It's it's horrible. I'm not saying probably bad. It is 100% the worst sex you could ever have, because he is gross on top of selfish, and that doesn't make a good combo for a lover, right? Somebody who all he wants to do is, have a conquest. He wanted to use Stormy Daniels like a piece of meat, basically. It's not about her. It's about him. It's like, look what I did. Like a little boy, playing with his, ugh. And he's horrible. He's just horrible in bed. He's horrible out of bed. He's horrible in life. Of course he's horrible in bed. He's the worst. And it just makes me sad that somebody like Stormy Daniels, as much as she's a porn star, that's what she gets paid for, that her self-esteem was so low that she felt like she couldn't say no to him, that she came out of the bathroom. The story is she came out of the bathroom and he was sitting on the bed, spread out, perched on the side of the bed, and he said, "Come here." And her thought was, which is pretty funny, "Oh no, here we go." Ugh. She probably just close her eyes and think of England, right? And that's pretty sad. That's how Donald Trump has to. I guess that's how Melania approaches sex with Trump. It's probably close your eyes and think of Tiffany's. Think of your next vacation home. Ugh. Anyway, so David Cay Johnston says that Trump is not as rich as he says he is. Of course, that is the truth. And actually, I can't get into it right now because I only have 2.5 minutes left. You see what I'm saying? This is where the time goes when you're doing a Tarabuster. Time flies when you're doing a Tarabuster. It really does. And that's why the show has to go to 2 hours. And it'll be fun because it's going to be harder for me because it's just going to be more work to try to get guests and whatnot. That's why the phones will be open. It'll be fun. I'm going to actually I actually look forward to talking to you guys. It's going to be fun. Let me see. I'm reading what Bob Kincaid says. See, if you hang out and watch Tarabuster Live, you get to hang out with Bob Kincaid from Head On Radio Network. And he beige, she thought to herself, I'll paint the ceiling beige. Exactly. Because it ain't like this is awesome. Oh, give me more, right? It's like when is this over? He sucks. I know, right? Fixers. Gross. I'm sorry to leave these images in your mind, everybody, of Trump having sex, but it's kind of hard not to when you see that poor woman Stormy Daniels. She's really like a martyr. I think she should be an honorary Me Too advocate. You know what I mean? She doesn't want to. She says she's not a Me Too person, but that she was not a victim. But we should really kind of just nominate her as anybody that has sex with Trump is definitely Me Too. You know what I mean? I'm Me Too thinking about it. I need therapy. I have a therapist. We're gonna have to discuss this. All right, I have 30 seconds left. I want to thank you guys for hanging out. Please give me a review on iTunes, a good one. I'm kind of mad that there's no reviews up there. I keep asking and nobody does it. And if you can't do a review, please donate and whatever. I'm gonna keep. This is the plug part of the show. You got to do plugs. I'm sorry, it sucks. I wish I had a better factor, Anyway, all right. My name is Tara Devlin. We stick together. We win. I'll see you next week.